Hey guys, Dustin here with another episode of Brutal Geek on Nom Talk Network. Last week I went over some nice Christmas holiday beers. This week, in honor of Hanukkah, I wanted to go over some cool Hanukkah beers. Turns out, there's not that many out there. So, we're gonna go with a holiday movie beer, a beer that's spelled sort of holiday in the text, Jewishness, and the single Hanukkah beer I could find. There's not many. Kicking things off. First up I have the Santa, I Know Him, elf reference, Festive Saison. Now, this is an extremely interesting Saison to me because it does not follow traditional Saison taste to me, to be perfectly honest. This is brewed by Evil Genius Beer Company, and it's coming in at 7.2%. Now, I normally also don't get Saisons from a can. It's interesting. It's a really nice color, almost like a dark mahogany, especially when you put it on the nice dark wood here. No head, no lace, there's no last, there's almost no carbonation. Well, no, I can see a little bit there, but the haziness is really fighting that. Now, it smells a lot like floral fruitiness, a little bit of like cellar must almost. It smells like it's been aged in an old place full of old barrels, but in a good way. I'm definitely getting the black currant and the dark Belgian candy syrup and that Belgian yeast they decided to use for it. So taste follows the smell. I'm definitely getting that kind of celery. I really wish I had a better way to describe the way that musty kind of just sits on your tongue. A little bit of cherry, a lot of floral flavors, a lot of winter spice in this almost, which makes a lot of sense considering it's a festive saison. It's a very muddled flavor. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's almost as if it wants to get the sourness you find in Saison sometimes, but it doesn't play well with the Belgian yeast they're using, and they've used what tastes like a lot of it. I mean, this tastes like the aftertaste, malty kind of Belgian yeasty taste of a quad or a triple. Interesting. That has to be my first farmhouse holiday brew or holiday Saison that I've ever had. And Evil Genius, not bad. Next beer we have is from a brewery called Pizza Port. Now, they are a great brewery. They make a lot of different brews. They're from Carlsbad, California, so they're not too far away, at least from some of us. But the reason I chose this one is only because the Swamis is stylized and it looks almost like Hebrewish. It was the closest I could do. And I happen to know that Swami's IPA from Pizza Port is a delicious IPA. Now, this is one of the special beers for Pizza Port because it was the first beer that they made at their original location over 20 years ago. That is a light IPA. Now, Swamis is a West Coast IPA, which means there's a lot of citrus and pine notes in it. I happen to like West Coast IPAs. Maybe that's because I'm a West Coast guy. I like the pine. I like the pine smell. It's a very, very light golden hue. I'm used to my IPAs being a little bit darker, to be perfectly honest. Nice sticky foam. Really clings. Really big lacing. A lot of citrus, a lot of pine resin. It's a really thick head, almost 2 fingers in an IPA glass. That's a pretty hefty head. That's almost a German beer head. Almost a spicy, kind of floral, tropical spice. That's a Swami's IPA. Very standard IPA. Mostly citrus, pine, little white pepper. The malt is a little bready, which is great. I love that. The hops are decent, but the bitterness is not too high. Ooh, yeah. Different flavors between the head and the actual beer itself, which mix very well. It's extremely thin, almost watery-like, without thinking of water because the taste is great. This is a special beer. If you like double IPAs, this is a great one to try if you haven't. It's a nice, old-school West Coast style IPA. A lot of citrus and a lot of pine, but it drinks like a session. Even though it's 6.8%, it's probably not. Now we've come to the company and the brewery that I really wanted to talk about. Shmaltz, or specifically their Hebrew line. I heard about these years ago, and they had a bunch of different styles, all made to celebrate Jewish culture. And growing up in a Jewish family and seeing that there was actually a Jewish beer was pretty cool. Shmaltz started out delivering their first 100 cases of beer out of the back of their grandmother's Volvo. Under their Hebrew brand, they currently are the only brewery specifically set out to celebrate Jewish culture and became a nationally distributed brew. From funky jubilation to their recent Shebrew line, they have a wide selection of styles, and most of them have really great, really funny Jewish-related joke titles. So this Hanukkah Golden Jelly Donut pastry beer, since is it's a sweetened, almost a flavored malt beverage, to be perfectly honest. Almost no head to speak of. Very nice carbonation though. Nice kind of reddish color, which makes a lot of sense. There's a Jewish tradition that dates back probably almost 1,500 years ago called sufganiyot, which is a stuffed jelly donut, and they are traditionally eaten for Hanukkah. What makes this jelly donut brew the perfect stand-in for sufganiyot for the holidays is that they actually use 600 pounds of real raspberry and cherry puree in every batch of the beer. Additionally, the pure vanilla that they use lends a really strong sweetness. Now I smell a lot of raspberry and cherry, which makes sense, and almost the smell of a dark ale. It's thick and almost musty, like that cellar must I was talking about before. It smells like a dark ale should. Now one of the great things about this beer, and one of the great things about Shmaltz as a company, is that when they make a beer and they give it a name or a reason, they make sure that it is through and through. This beer is brewed with 8 different types of malts, 8 different types of hops, and it comes out at 8%. Making it the perfect beer to celebrate any of the 8 nights of Hanukkah. Definitely not a coincidence. It is extremely fruity. The raspberry taste is very, very strong. It almost bowls completely over the cherry, but the cherry does get back up and start running again because you can taste them right at the end. The little bit that sits on the back of the tongue that's almost barley wine-esque. It's just a very thick, heavy combination of flavors I can't quite place. I have a Dachshund Menorah. It's pretty cool. Once again, I'm Dustin, your friendly neighborhood giant. This is Brew Tall Geek on Nom Talk Network. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if there's a specific beer that's your favorite that you'd like me to try. I'll give it a shot. Thanks for drinking.